Hello friends, this is Santosh sir and welcome back to my channel. And again, this video is on MCO 21. And in the previous video, I explained you the first three units of MCO 21. And in this video, let's start with unit 4, demand concept and analysis. And one request to all the viewers that those who have not yet subscribed to my channel, kindly subscribe and also share it to your friends. And okay, start. Let's start with the video and let's see what are the important questions and answers that you must prepare before the exams. Okay, so first thing is you must understand what is demand. Okay, in class 11 and 12 we have studied about this, and let's try to find out the simplest definition of demand. Now demand is effective desire. Now this particular two words will describe everything about demand, and any desire which can be fulfilled with the help of money is called demand in economics. And I've given one example also, like all the desires are not demands, but only effective desires are demands. Now again we can classify demands into two types. One is individual demand and the other is market demand, right? Individual demand refers to the quantities of commodities demanded by a particular consumer at various prices, whereas market demand refers to the whole demand of all the consumers of one particular market. Okay, the next concept is what is demand function, right? So this question is also very important one, and it represents the relationship between the quantity demanded and the price. So this is the basic relationship. It shows the relationship between the demand and price of a commodity. And this is one particular formula that we use to derive demand function. And if suppose this formula says that dx is equal to function of px. Now dx is the demand of a particular commodity and px is the price of that particular commodity. So the demand changes when the price changes, and on this basic concept, this law of demand has been devised, and this is one of the most important law in economics. And we know about this very simple law. It states that other things remains constant if the demand increases. If the price of a commodity falls, the demand increases, and vice versa. This is clear from this particular schedule. As you can see here, there are two columns. One is of the price, and the next one is of demand. Okay, and as you can see here, the price of the product, it keeps on falling, right? And the demand of the product, the price of the product goes on increasing and the demand of the product goes on decreasing. You can also make this table in the inverse way, right? So now this table can be represented in the form of graphical representation, which I have done it here in the next page. Now this is the particular graphical representation of demand curve, and here the x-axis and y-axis. You must be very particular like what to take in the x-axis. In the x-axis I have taken quantity, and always on the y-axis you will take the price of the commodity. And this is the demand curve, and it always flows from downward from left to right. Okay, there are few assumptions of this law, like yeah, the assumptions are, the income of the consumer remains unchanged. There should not be any change in the consumer's income. The prices of the related goods should not change. The taste and preference of the consumer should not change, and there is no future expectation by the consumer. So these are all assumptions to make this law applicable, right? The next one is exceptions, like where we cannot apply this law of demand. There are few exceptional cases, like given goods. Now when the prices of given goods decreases, their demand also decreases. For example, jowar and bajra. So these are all inferior commodities. So basically, their demand falls in prices. Simple goods means those goods which shows status and prestige in the society, like buying costly cars, diamond jewelries, gold, like that. And there is one more, that is salt, the price of salt, which is the basic ingredients of our food. So whatever be the price of the salt, we will definitely consume this. So it is the price, the salt is not applicable in case of law of demand. And there may be future expectations. So if there are future expectations that the prices are going to be up or down, so this law cannot be applied, because it will go in the inverse way. Now this is about like why demand curve slopes downward. It is due to the price effect, then maybe due to the substitution effect, due to the income effect, and due to the law of diminishing marginal utility. So this concept is not very important, just I have written for your extra knowledge. Okay, now this question is very important, you must revise this properly. What are the factors that affect the demand of a commodity? Now let's see. It's very simple question. Firstly, price. If the price of the commodity increases, the demand falls, and if price decreases, the demand rises. So that's it. Then the price of related goods, like tea and coffee, they are related goods. So if the price of the coffee increases, the demand of tea will increase, like that. And the next one is income. If the income of the consumer rises, the demand will also increase. Then comes to taste and preference of the consumer. If it changes, the demand changes according to the taste and preference of the consumers. So this point is also very important. And expected price change in future or in near future. So these are all few important points which you can expand in detail. Right. Let's move on to the next unit, and this unit is on elasticity of demand. Let's try to understand what is price elasticity. It is the ratio of change in the quantity demanded due to change in the price, or in other words, how much will there be a change in demand due to change in price. And this is the mathematical form. EP stands for elasticity of price, change in demand by change in price. It is so simple. Now arc is it is basically a graphical concept of elasticity of demand, which we will discuss later on in this chapter. Then what are the factors? This question is also very important. You must read everything about elasticity, because this question is a very common question. Every year it comes in exams. And basically these are the factors, like availability of close substitutes. If there are close substitutes are there, the elasticity of demand will also be accordingly. Then the nature of commodity. There are some commodities can be necessity, comfort, and luxury items. So the elasticity varies according to the nature of the commodity. Then the price of the commodity, right? Like for example, the prices of the car will generally more elastic than the essential commodities like salt or matchbox. Okay, so if there is a small change in the prices of cars, it will definitely affect, it will be more elastic, right? Then comes income. As the income increases, the elasticity of the consumers will also increase. And this is the relationship between price elasticity and revenue. This is all about the firm. And generally, the proper estimation of price elasticity is of great importance for a business organization. And the total revenue earned by sales by a firm. Total revenue means the sale proceeds that a firm get after selling its goods and services. So that is called revenue, right? So total revenue is equal to P into Q. That means price into the number of units sold. And if the demand is elastic, there will be a increase in the increase in the revenue. And if it decreases, it has a negative side. So like that you can write the relationship between this. Let's move on to the next concept, that is the importance of price elasticity in decision making. This question is also very important one. What is the role of price elasticity for a management of a firm? Now basically price elasticity is used to take all the pricing decisions of a firm while pricing a commodity, and it also finds it uses in framing economic policy by the government of a country. Price elasticity is also very useful in international trade, right? and it is also very important while deciding the fiscal policy, that means the taxes for a country. Now the next concept is write a short note on income elasticity of demand. Basically here, it shows the relationship between the income and the demand, right? As we know that when the income increases, the demand also increases. So like how much elasticity will be the demand of the income, right? So this is how like you can expand this. And the next question is write a short note on cross price elasticity. Now you must understand this also. Cross price elasticity refers to how responsive or elastic the demand of one product with response to the change in price of the another product. Okay, that means related product. If the price of the tea changes, how much demand of coffee will change? If the price of petrol changes, how much demand of the vehicles will change? So this is how like you have to explain, and this is what I have written here. XED stands for cross price elasticity of demand, and this is the mathematical formula that we use. QX is the quantity of the product X, PY is the price of the product, okay, and this is the formula. Delta stands for change in quantity demanded of X by change in X, then a change in price of commodity by the price change. So like this is on cross elasticity. Let's move on to the next unit 6, demand estimation and forecasting. Very important unit. And let's try to find out first what are the main sources of data that a firm uses to forecast demand. Basically these three are the main sources: expert opinion, surveys, and market experiments. Okay, expert opinions, that means the opinions can be taken of the experienced and knowledgeable persons regarding the regarding forecasting of demand, like how much demand a company can expect of a particular good from the market. And the next thing it can do, like it can conduct surveys, okay, public surveys. And here the consumers are surveyed, they are asked questions, they are sent questionnaire to answer few simple questions, and based on that the company forecasts its demand. And the third one is market experiments. The company can conduct experiments before launching the product, how the consumer responses to their product. Okay, the next one is demand forecasting techniques. How can a company forecast the demands? What are the different methods that are used? Basically two methods. First one, survey method, and the other is statistical method. Now again, survey method can be of three types, right? The first one is market research, second one sales force opinion, and third one Delphi method. All these this particular question also strikes in the exams, so be very particular and revise these questions properly. In market research, company does this is more popular method, market research. And here the a type of survey is made of the consumers, and a lot of information is gathered from the market about the demand and income and literacy rate and social status of the consumers, and accordingly the firm decides its prices of the product. Then the second one is sales force opinion, sales team. Whatever the sales team is there in the in the company working, so it can take opinion of them. Okay, so their responses will be very crucial in deciding the price of a commodity. The third one is a Delphi method. Now in this method, an organization hires a group of external experts. They are very expert people, outsider people, but they are well experienced, and they also help the company to forecast the demand. Okay. The next method is statistical method. Again, this method is divided into three parts. The first one is trend projection, second one is barometric forecasting technique, and third one econometric forecasting technique. Now in trend projection, this is one of the most simplest and common method used for forecasting. And here, a trend is analyzed. Trend projection uses past sales data to project the future sales. Now this technique can be used by the organization with sufficient amount of past sales data. So if sufficient data is not there, it is hard to find the trend projection of the product. And the next method is barometric forecasting. And in barometric forecasting, the demand is forecasted based on the basis of past events or events occurring in the present. And it is done by statistical and economic indicators such as savings, investment, and income. And this method can be implemented even in the absence of the past data. Okay, so this barometric method is also very popular method. And the third method is econometric forecasting method, and this technique combines the past sales data with the factors that influence the demand to create mathematical formula to predict future demand. And it finds the relation between the dependent variables and independent variables, and if only one factor affects the demand, it is known as single variable demand. And if multiple factors affect the demand, it is known as multiple variable demand function. And this is the basic equation that we use for this purpose. So these are all the techniques to forecast demand. And this is block 3, unit 7, and this is on okay, this is unit 7, production function. Again, a very important chapter of economics. Let's try to find out what is production function. It is the relationship between the factor inputs and outputs. That means in simple words like raw materials and finished goods. So what is their function? What is their relation? So all these things we get from production function. And in simple words, production function refers to the functional relationship between the quantity of goods produced and factors of production, that is land, labor, capital, and organization. So, and this is one particular formula that we use. Q is equal to function of LCN. L stands for labor, C for capital, N for land. Okay, so these are all techniques. These are a few features of production function, like substitutability. That means the factors of production or inputs are substitutes of one another, which make it possible to vary the total output by changing the quantity of one or few outputs. So there are a lot of substitutes available for raw materials, so we can substitute one from the other. And there is also one factor called complementarity, and that is the factors of production are also complementary to one another. That is, two or more inputs are used together, so no one unit one input is sufficient to produce a good or service. Along with land, we have to use labor or technology or machines, right? So like that. Then the third one is specificity. That means it reveals that the inputs are specific to the production of a particular goods, like machines and equipment, specialized workers, raw materials are few examples of specific inputs that we use during the production. Okay, the next question is distinguish between short run production function and long run production function. Let's try to find out the difference. This question is also very important one. And in short run, it tells us the relationship between input and output for a shorter period of time, and this is for a longer period of time. And here the capital labor ratio changes with change in output. Okay, and here the capital labor ratio doesn't change, because in the long run it is very hard to change the input and output. And the law of returns to factor is applied here, but here law of returns to scale is applied. And in short run, the short run curve is parallel to x-axis, where it is downward sloping, and here capital is fixed and labor is a variable factor, it changes. But here all factors are variable in the long run. Okay, the next concept is TP, MP, AP, that is total product, marginal product, and average product. Total product is the volume of goods, the total value of goods and services produced by a firm during a particular year. And average product is the ratio between the total product and unit produced. That means total product divided by total units produced will give you the average product, and marginal product is the addition to TP by using one additional input. So their relationship can be understood by this particular schedule. And here these are all units of labor 1 to 7. This is the total product TP, and this is average product, and this is marginal product. Now let's see how to find out average product if TP and labor are given. So what you have to do, you just need to divide. That is 50 with 1 will give you 50. Then 90 divided by 2 will give you 45. 120 by 3 will give you 40. Then again 140 divided by 4 will give you 35. So like that we can just find the average product by dividing TP by labor. And while calculating MP, you just need to subtract the succeeding with the preceding. That means 90 minus 50, first one is 50, that is correct. Then 90 minus 50 will give you 40. Then 120 minus 90 will give you 30. Like that 140 minus 120 will give you 130. So like that, the succeeding minus the preceding. So that is how we calculate marginal product. Okay, now this is the graphical representation of TP, AP and MP. And as you can see here, there are 3 stages and 3 curves. This is TP, this is AP, and this is MP. Now MP can go downwards on the x-axis. This is variable on the x-axis, variable input, and this is the units of labor. And as you can see here, the TP, it increases and after a certain time it starts falling down. And AP is average product. First it increases, and after the second stage it falls down. When we observe marginal product curve, it first increases and then it falls down and becomes negative. You must remember that TP and AP cannot be negative, but only marginal product becomes negative after a certain time. This is what written here, describing the relationship between AP and MP and TP and MP. Very simple one, but very important one, right? This is again a very important question which strikes in the exams quite a number of times. The law of diminishing marginal returns, or in other words, law of variable proportion. Now what is this law all about? It shows the relationship between fixed factors and variable factors. That is first thing you have to keep it in mind. And according to this law, keeping other things constant, if a firm goes on increasing the variable factors, the total product increases at an increasing rate up to a certain point, and after that it increases at a diminishing rate. Now this is very important, diminishing rate and increasing rate. Okay, first it increases with the increasing rate, and after a point of time it increases with a diminishing rate, which I just now explained you while showing that graph. Now this is more clearer from this schedule. Now these are the units of inputs we use. This is TP and MP, and these are all stages, and these are all returns to scale. As you can see here, when we goes on increasing the number of inputs, the total product also increases. It increases at an increasing rate in the first stage, and when the second stage comes, that is from 3 to 4. First unit 1 and 2, it increases with an increasing rate. In 3 and 4, it increases with a constant rate, and then again like it becomes negative or diminishing. So like this, you can you just always try to draw these tables, schedule, graph while writing the answers, because that will create a very good impression in the examiner's mind. One more law is there, that is laws to returns to scale. Okay, this is also a part of law of diminishing returns. And according to this law, all inputs, both fixed and factors, are increased in the same proportion or ratio in the long run, right? And basically again it has three effects. First, increasing effect, then constant effect, and then diminishing effect. And in case of increasing return, the percentage change of output is more than the percentage change of input. In constant return, the percentage change of input and output are the same. whereas in diminishing return the percentage change of output are less than the percentage change of input. So like this we can also explain this with the help of this schedule. Again, the same type of schedule. Here TP and MP is there. Again, like three stages: increasing, constant, and diminishing. So okay, this is the relation between TP, AP, and MP, which is very important. It also comes in exams, and this relation is based on all these three stages which just now I explained you. Okay, then one more question is there. You might get a short note on production isoquants. Now, what are these? Isoquants means equal or same, and a production isoquant or equal output is the locus of all the combinations of inputs which yield a given level of output, right? With two variable inputs, capital and labor, the isoquant gives different combinations of capital and labor that produces the same level of output. So it is more or less similar to that equimarginal concept, production isoquant. Okay. The next question is, what are the different types of statistical analysis used for estimating production function? And the question must be very clear because it's a very important question. It comes in exams many times. So prepare this question well. The different types of statistical analysis used for estimation of a production function are time series analysis. That is, what is this? The number of various inputs used in various periods in the past and the amount of output produced in each period is called time series. Okay. And generally, we may obtain a data concerning about the labor, the amount of capital, and the amount of various materials that we use here, in time series. Like, all past data are connected, and on the basis of this, the estimation is done. Then we have one more method, that is cross-section analysis. And here the number of inputs used and output produced in various firms and sectors of the industry during a given period of time is called cross-section data. And on the basis of this data, the estimation is done. And the third one is engineering analysis. And in this analysis, we use technical information supplied by engineers, the experienced people, and knowledgeable persons. Based on that, we find our estimation. There are few limitations of different types of analysis, like both time series and cross section are restricted to very narrow concept. And another limitation of time series is that the technology is changing rapidly, so it is not very dynamic in nature. And the third one is, theoretically the production function includes only the efficient combination, and the inefficient combinations of labor and capital are ignored. And in the fourth limitation is there, like all the techniques concentrate on manufacturing activities basically, so service sector and all other sectors are ignored, and they are both conceptual and statistical problems. And as we know that statistics itself is not very concrete and reliable because it is based on averages. So friends, that's all in this video, and in the next video we'll be starting from unit 8. Thank you for watching. Best of luck.